Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees from Sridham Mayapur. My name is Madhavananda Das. I'm dressed warmly today because it's freezing cold here, meaning it must be about 17 degrees or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. We're suffering. So today we have a very amazing discussion about how Krishna became a brahmachari. So we'll first offer a few prayers. Gora Graganya Gana Gocha Goloruharam Goranga Pudatama Gopyara Kolpa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami Narayanam Namaskrityam Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Vedi Ramayanis Chaiva Purane Bharate Tata Adavante Chamadyecha Hari Sarvatra Giyate Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shigurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda He Madhava Padunga Luchi Makaranda Se Makaranda Panakori Anande Bolo Hari Hari Harinka Name Vandavela Parikoribe Chakadola Se Chakadolanka Padaye Manamo Rahu Nirantare Manamo Nirantare Rahu Ha Krishna Boli Jiva Jao Ha Krishna Boli Jao Jiva Mote Udara Radha Dava Mote Udara Radha Dava Mote Udara Radha Dava Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Good morning, dear devotees from Sridham Mayapur. This is part 23 of our series we're calling Meeting in Kurukshetra, although we're still not yet in Kurukshetra. And our story continues today with a very astonishing thing, with Krishna and Balaram becoming brahmacharis. So we were hearing from Srila Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu, and how when Krishna arrived in Mathura, now he's supposed to be staying with Devaki and Vasudev, but I remember when I was about 9 years old, my mother had some accident and my father couldn't take care of us, and we had to go to like a foster home for a few weeks, and it was very, very strange. I didn't know anybody there. It was a very nice couple, but I didn't know them, and I didn't know how to behave with them. So this was a situation for Krishna. He'd gone to Mathura, but he doesn't know Vasudeva and Devaki, and everybody's saying this is your mother and father, but I don't know, am I supposed to hug them? What do I say to them? It was awkward. And so they decided, Vasudeva and Devaki decided they should write a letter and request the Brijbasis to allow Rohini to come to Mathura. And so they did that. And Rohini came to Mathura, and when she was there in Mathura then, Vasudeva and Devaki, they decided we have to do the Upanayanam Samskara for Krishna and Balaram. That Upanayanam Samskara, that's the sacred thread ceremony. And this is a significant point because the Upanayana Samskara is a responsibility of the parents. And it's something, it somewhat marks that child as the son or son of those particular parents. So Vasudeva and Devaki decided to do that, thereby marking Krishna belongs to us. So at that time, Krishna wrote a letter to his father, Nanda Maharaj, and said, don't feel bad, they're wanting to do this, and we're just going along with it because they're our friends. But what you should do something at the same time, the same ceremony, only using some of our friends there in Braj, who are non-different from us, because really we're your son. This was the point. And so then when that ceremony, that Upanayana Sanskar, was finished in both places, it happened both in Mathura and in Braj, then the boys said, okay, now we're Brahmins, we have this Upanayanam, we're not Brahmins, but we have this Brahman thread and Gayatri mantra. Now we want to learn the Vedas and their Angas. And so we should go to a Gurukula. But to do that, that means we have to accept a guru. And so they were thinking to themselves that Vyasadeva is really the best person. But the problem is, if we go to Vyasadeva or any other Vaishnavas like Parasara Muni, the son of Vyasadeva, then, the father of Vyasadeva, then they're not going to want to be our guru because they're Vaishnavas and they say, how can we accept you? You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our guru. It won't be good. So we should study and that'll be good, because if we go to the Gurukula, then it's going to establish that this is the thing to do. Not just that you should have Upanayanam and get Brahman thread, but you should also spend time with the Guru and you should study. This is very important. So if we don't do that, it won't be auspicious for the world. Everybody else will say, well, Krishna and Balaram, they didn't go to the Gurukul, they just read the book and they got this mantra and that's all they needed to do. So that's all we need to do also. So we want to go and live in Gurukul, but who can be our guru? And they said, the best thing is to find someone who's fixed in Brahman realization and is a Shaivite who worships Shiva. And that great soul, Sandapani Muni, who comes from Kashi, he's a great Shiva Bhakta. Previously he went to Prabhas, but now he lives in Avanti and near by a Shiva temple. We should go there. So Krishna is speaking like this, Krishna and Balaram, they're thinking like this, and one reason is for this Loka Siksha, to teach everybody that it's important to go to Gurukula. But another reason, an internal reason, is that Krishna is getting happiness from this because Krishna likes to give respect to his devotees. And now I can become a disciple of Sandapani Muni, who's actually Krishna's great devotee. Although he appears like a Shaivite. And by doing this, I'm going to give respect to another great devotee of mine. That person is Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, who's Lord Shiva. So we should do like that. And then everybody, they'll appreciate. So, but they said there's a problem. If we tell Vasudeva and Devaki that we want to go to school, we want to go to the Guru, we want to join the Hare Krishna movement, they're going to say, no way, forget it, you just came here. So we have to sneak away. And so the two boys, they made a plan to fool everybody, and they were making some show of doing vows alone in their house where they were staying. And then they slipped away. And before they left, Krishna and Balaram, they spoke to Vasudeva and Devaki and Rohini, who knew about it, but they had to slip away because the other members of the Yadu dynasty there in Mathura, they would freak out. And so Krishna told them, don't worry, it's okay. Balaram's coming with me. And if Balaram comes with me, then it's just the same as 10 million people coming. So he said, please bless us. We get so much power from your blessings. And with those blessings, who can defeat us? So this is Krishna's nature again, we mentioned. Krishna, although he could say, I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who the heck are you? I don't need your blessings. But Krishna, to show us proper etiquette Even though Krishna is millions of times greater than Vasudeva and Devaki, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, still he showed us to accept blessings from the superiors. It's a very sweet thing. So when Vasudeva and Devaki heard their words, the words of Krishna, they became relieved that this is okay, because we know how powerful they are. But Rohini was really disturbed. She was very, very unhappy about that. Because Rohini, she's thinking, I left Vrindavan, I left Yashoda, who was crying, and I came here on Yashoda's order to see Krishna and Balaram, and I was happy to be able to see Krishna and Balaram. But now, after just a few days, Krishna and Balaram are leaving. This is not good. So, as Krishna and Balaram are going to Avanti Desh, they saw some Brahmins who were wearing red cloth. And those Brahmins, seeing these boys, they were very eager to give them some food that they themselves had begged, but Krishna and Balaram wouldn't accept it. No, you're Brahmins, it's not good. And some people were encouraging him, you should go in a vehicle, you should go in a chariot. No, we're brahmacharis, and a brahmachari shouldn't ride in a car, shouldn't go in a cart or anything until his brahmachari life is finished. So we just walked. And as they were walking, they saw so many very picturesque villages on the way. It was very, very beautiful. And sometimes they would see some cowherd villages, some villages of the Gwalas. And when they see that, they become stunned in ecstasy, remembering Vrindavan. And those are the places they would stop for the night, because indicating that Krishna is really his identification. He's thinking, I'm a Brijbasi, and I'm the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, and I'm a Gwala, I'm a cowherd boy. And so they were dressed in brahmachari clothing, and everybody was so attracted to them, but they couldn't recognize them. So it's an amazing thing that Krishna and Balaram, now when they've left Vrindavan, let's look at this from a little distance now. Krishna and Balaram have left Vrindavan, they've left the gopis, they've left that intense Madhurya Ras, which is there in Vraj, and they've come to Mathura, and now what do they do in Mathura? They become brahmacharis. It's very appropriate, actually. Indirectly, Krishna and Balaram are indicating that how can, without the gopis of Vrindavan, better we just become brahmacharis. So my Guru Maharaj, he sometimes would tell a story I want to just briefly go over from the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, that once the gopis came to Krishna, and they told him, "O Pranavallabha, our dearmost of our hearts, what can we do to give you pleasure?" And Krishna told them then, he said, on the other side of the Jamuna, there's a great saint who's staying there, and he's my guru. And the gopis said, "You have a guru?" "Yes, I have a guru. And I'll be very pleased if you go there and serve him." "Well, what is the name of this sadhu?" "His name is Durvasa Muni." And his ashram is still there today on the Jamuna River, and some of the followers of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta are in charge of that ashram. He said, "You go there and you serve him, and if you get his mercy, then you'll be able to serve me and give me some pleasure." And the gopis said, but this is very difficult. The Jamuna River is there, and there's so much water, it's flooding. How can we cross the Jamuna? Is there some way we can do that? And Krishna whispered to them, then he said, "I'll tell you a secret. You should chant this mantra. And if you chant, I have the special mantra, and if you chant this mantra, then the Jamuna will divide, like it did for Moses, I guess, the Red Sea, and you'll be able to cross over the Jamuna." "Oh, really? What is that mantra?" The mantra is Krishna nitya-brahmacari. That Krishna is eternally a brahmachari. And the gopis kind of looked at each other. "It's a little weird. How can you say that? We know you, Krishna. You're not exactly a brahmachari. You're being with every gopi in Vrindavan. How can we understand," my Guru Maharaj said, "how Krishna is eternally a brahmachari? He had more than 16,000 wives in Dwarka. He had so many sons. He's a great grihasta. He's a very romantic playboy, you may say, in Vrindavan. How is he a brahmachari? He dances with hundreds and thousands of gopis in the dead of night." But Krishna said, "I'm Krishna nitya-brahmacari." The gopis said, "Anyway, it's a little weird, but okay, we'll try that." And so they went to the Jamuna, And they looked at each other, okay, Krishna nitya-brahmacari. And all of a sudden the water parted. Wow, that's really far out. And they went over there, they met Durvasa Muni, and they offered obeisances to him. And they said, how can we serve you? We want to get your blessings so that we can get Krishna bhakti, we can give pleasure to Krishna. And the gopis had prepared hundreds and thousands of different varieties of food, and they gave all of that to Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni looked at it and he said, well, it's not very much for me, but anyway, and he ate it in one moment. A huge, huge amount of food. And Durvasa Muni kind of belched after that. He burped. Thank you very much. That's good. And he said, you have my blessings that you'll be able to please Krishna. And the gopis turned to go back to cross the river to join up with Krishna again. But still the flood was there in the Jamuna. So then the gopis, they went back to Durvasa Muni and said, how can we cross the river? And so Durvasa Muni said, I have this mantra. Oh no, another mantra, okay. What mantra is it? And then he said, you should chant this mantra, Durvasa nirahari. That Durvasa Muni doesn't ever eat anything. The gopis looked at each other, this is really weird today. Okay. And so, how is this? He just ate such a huge amount of food. Huh? What is this? Krishna nitya-brahmacari, Durvasa nirahari, what do we... And so, they went and they chanted that mantra. And suddenly the river parted. And the gopis, well, that's pretty far out. And they went back across. And when they saw Krishna, they said, look, we have a question for you. What is this Krishna nitya-brahmacari, Durvasa nirahari? How are you a brahmachari? We see you. You're dancing in the Ras Leela with so many gopis. You know? And Durvasa Muni, we fed him, and my God, he ate like enough for an army, for all of Mathura practically by himself. He ate everything in one moment. How is he Durvasa nirahari? How is it that he fasts? So the Uttara Tapani section of the Gopal Tapani Upanishad speaks about this. This story is also told in the Garga Samhita. Guru Maharaj points out this is Upanishad Veda Tattva, and it has a deep philosophy to it. It comes from the section of the Garga Samhita also, which speaks about the prayers of the personified Vedas. We're speaking about that Veda Tattva. So how is it these two things? Durvasa Muni, when he was asked in the Uttara Tapani Upanishad about this, Durvasa Muni gave a long reply, and he said basically that I'm a spirit soul, I'm not this body. So how can I be the enjoyer of matter? And therefore, in essence, Durvasa Muni doesn't eat anything. And Durvasa Muni in the Uttara Tapani Upanishad explained to the gopis that someone who hankers after pleasure, they're lusty. And someone who doesn't hanker for pleasure, they're not lusty. And although Krishna is surrounded by millions of beautiful gopis, his attachment to them is not based on enjoying sense objects. It's completely on the spiritual platform. And so Krishna is always a brahmachari, or one whose achara behavior is absorbed in Brahman, spirit. So Krishna nitya-brahmacari. This happened previously. But now, this is something more in terms of rasa, in terms of an exchange with the gopis. Now Krishna has become a brahmachari, indirectly indicating, as we said, that without you, what is the point? And this is a topic which is elaborated on by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Lalita Madhav, wherein he describes that Krishna actually doesn't marry any of the queens in Dwarka. But it's actually the gopis of Vrindavan who directly become the queens in Dwarka. Otherwise, Krishna wouldn't have any interest in them. And he says that Radharani, she became Satyabhama, and Chandravali became Rukmini, and all this way, all the different gopis directly became, he says very clearly, they're not incarnations, but they directly became those queens. Now, to understand that's a very deep topic, I would suggest, based on my understanding of what I've read, that there are different descriptions for different Dibya Yugas. And in some yugas, they're expansions of the gopis. But in other times, as in this Kali Yuga, they're directly the gopis of Vrindavan. And that's significant because of Gaura Lila coming also in this Dibya Yuga. But that's a topic we're not going to go to right now. But it is significant. So when the people of Avanti Desh saw Balaram, they saw, wow, this is the most effulgent person we've ever seen. And when they saw Krishna, they became confused. Is this light or is this darkness? And Srila Jiva Goswami describes in a very sweet way, Yata yata pasupeshvara patni sneha sarmatad iyaya ghanabham tatra tatra nagaram vipinam cha swantaradra mayatams samavapa. Wherever Krishna went, there was something which was following him. Sneha sarma, the affection of Mother Yashoda. And he said, just like a cloud follows sometimes an individual. There's a story, there's one man who's in the news. He's been hit by lightning, I forget, like 8 times or something. And he's lived through being hit by. He must have done something to injure his wife or something in his last life, I don't know. But it's described that once he was out for a walk in the countryside, and it was a clear day, there was no clouds, and all of a sudden one cloud came and it started coming over him. And he's been hit by lightning so many times, he started becoming afraid, and he started running, and the cloud, he said, started following him, and the cloud hit him with lightning. So it's a mundane story. But in a similar way, Jiva Goswami says that wherever Krishna went, Yashoda's affection would find him like a cloud following over him. and all those places where Krishna went, Tatra Tatra Nagaram, all the different Nagaras, all those different villages, Vipinam Cha, Swantaradra Mayatam Samavapa. Everybody's hearts melted seeing Krishna. And they began to talk among themselves as Kasya Punayavati Sigragrima Manir Anke Bibridam Gatta. Anka means a lap. There's a nice pranam mantra for Giriraj Govardhan, Namo Vrindavan Ankaya. How Giriraj is on the lap of the Anka of Vrindavan. So the ladies, when they were watching him, Krishna, they saw Krishna and Balaram, said, wow, he is so beautiful. He's going to increase the beauty of some fortunate woman who's going to sit on her lap, or they'll sit on his lap. And he'll display his arts on the breasts of some woman by painting on those breasts. Krishna heard all those ladies speaking, but Krishna thought this is very bad. Dinvan karna yugam, karna means the ears. Dinvan karna yugam dadeta pidadeta tatspriha bitita. Krishna thought this is very dangerous. I'm a brahmachari now, and they're talking about me with some lady on my lap and decorating the breasts of some woman. So Krishna put his fingers in his ears. I can't hear this. I'm a brahmachari now. And Krishna and Balaram, they thought we have to hide ourselves because if people have heard about us, and some people understand that Krishna and Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they arrived there in the assembly, Sandapani Muni, dressed as brahmacharis, and the people didn't recognize them. They were confused. The other brahmacharis there in the ashram are saying, who are these two? It looks like a dark monsoon cloud and an autumn white cloud. And we can compare them, they thought, to the sun and the moon, but that's not a good comparison. One shines with black splendor and the other one destroys that comparison completely. And Jiva Goswami speaks about the dress of Krishna and Balaram. Now mark this, because when Krishna is in Vrindavan, he's Nattabara. He's always dressed as the greatest of artists, because bhakti is the greatest art. And to reciprocate with the greatest art, the greatest level of bhakti, the greatest level of art, Krishna dresses like a great artist, like a great dancer. But now, when he goes to Mathura and Avanti Desh, he's dressed in a different way. Shomam Vastra Yugam Pavitrakkamayam Yagnapavitam Tata Moravim Mekalekavalim Kadirajam Dandam Rohoscharma Cha Dritva Kshatriyata Vivavakataya Sad Brahmacharjanvitav Acharyasya Sabham Sabhava Subhago Subhashrito Jagmatu. The boys had this special vastra, this special cloth on, and they had some kusha rings. They had rings made out of kusha grass. They had their pavitra, their yagnapavitam, their sacred threads they were wearing. Morva meka lakavalim, they had some grass belts made out of morva grass. They were wearing deer skin, it's mentioned. And they had some wooden sticks in their hands. And they entered that assembly of the Guru in a very proper way. Dritva Kshatriyata Vibhavatakataya. Dressed, they were Kshatriyas, they had that Kshatriya spirit, but they'd become brahmacharis now. And seeing the symptoms of their being kings, the members of that assembly, they didn't get up because they were Brahmins. They had some pride like that. So they didn't offer respect to them. But still, when they saw the beauty of the boys, that beauty of the boys melted their hearts. And it's said that Krishna and Balaram had something in their hands. Tatascha sandipata bhakti pani sandipta samidibi krita pura stala shakti sandipanam nija vijartita vyanjanaya vacha ranjanato swavarna gotravarna napurvam sita sitav iti nama vyaharanena chatyapurvam vavandate. They had Sandipita Bhakti Pani. They had so much devotion to Sandipani Muni. They impressed him very, very much. And they had firewood in their hands because that's the proper nature of a brahmachari. When you go to the ashram of the Guru, you should offer something to him. You should help him in his service of doing sacrifice. So at this time, many devotees all over the world, they're helping Srila Prabhupada to do this sacrifice. And they're not carrying firewood, but they're carrying books, which are like something which is meant to create a great fire, to destroy all the evil mentality of the materialists. So that's the nature of the brahmacharis. And they came there, and they were praying, you please give us some knowledge. And they introduced themselves as Sandipani Muni. I'm the white one, he's the black one. That's the only way they introduced themselves. And then they told Krishna, they told Sandipani Muni, Shiman Mahakulaja Vipravatam Saratna Vidyanidhe Vihita Vaidika Dharma Marma Agyana Dukkha Vinivarta Kadina Bando Trayasrano Svacharanam Saranam Prapano. They said, Svacharanam Saranam Prapano, we surrender to your lotus feet. Trayasva, you please deliver us from this agyana duk, this suffering due to ignorance. And they address you, Shriman Mahakulaja, Vipravatang Saratna, you're a great crest jewel of the Brahmins, the Vipravatang Saratna. You're the ocean of knowledge. Vidyavide Vihita Vaidika Dharma Marma. You know everything, you please accept us. And this is the process to come to Guru, not just that you go to someone and say, hey Maharaj, you know, I'm really sick and tired of being called Bhaktin Anna or Bhakta Mark, and I want to get initiated, please. The temple president told me I should do that. No, we should go to Guru and we should, by our words, express what it is that we appreciate from them, what it is that we want from them, because that Guru is going to test us. Why do they come to me? Are they just doing this for some vyavaharic purpose, some local social purpose? Is that why they're coming? Or is it something transcendental? And because Krishna and Balaram were coming incognito, they didn't offer any gifts, but they have to give something to the Guru, so they brought some forest fruits from the distance, which also indicates again Krishna's attachment to Vrindavan in an indirect way. Instead of the objects from Mathura, gold and different jewels and opulent things, they're offering the kind of things you get in Vrindavan. And this is indicating then their inner bhav, their inner identity. And so then Sandapani Muni said, well, who are you guys anyway? And they said, oh, we're the sons of someone from the Yadu dynasty. And they were so clever that nobody could recognize them. But Sandapani Muni could understand, you're very special persons, it's very good. And he told them that the time for study is very rare. When that window for study is there, we should take that. Because when we get older in things, we become overwhelmed with so many different duties and things. It's not a time for studying, but study time is a time for the brahmacharis. And he said, I'll keep you here. So now you should give up your identity as Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are very proud. And the first thing is you have to learn to beg with the Brahmin students. So my Guru Maharaj spoke about this in one lecture. I'd like to share with you some of the very interesting points that he made. He spoke about Vidyarthi Pancha Lakshana, how a brahmachari has 5 symptoms. And he says it's very important to be a brahmachari, to accept Guru, to live in the Guru's ashram, and to strictly follow the principles of brahmachari and to learn how to control the mind and the senses, to fix the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. And the Guru gives that training during the brahmachari period, because when someone gets married, it's very, very difficult at that point. So he said, Vidyarthi Pancha Lakshana, there's a saying that a brahmachari has 5 symptoms. Kakasnana, Bhakka Dhyana, Alpa Bhojana, Sana Nidra Videsha Gaman. Kakasnan means that you shouldn't take very much time bathing. Kaka means a crow. How much time does a crow take to give a bath? If you see a crow, it takes a little water in its beak and splashes it on itself, it's finished, and it goes. So this is the brahmachari. The brahmachari should think, I don't have much time, I'm here to do bhajan. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Michinida basi gelore rati divasasari saje. He said, you're spending your days sleeping and snoring and your daytime taking care of this body. No. For a brahmachari, it should be kakasnan. You spend very little time for bathing. And the next of the 5 symptoms of a brahmachari is bhaka dhyan. Baka means like bakasura, like a stork, a bird. It's a white bird with a long beak and long legs. And it gives its attention by the side of a river or a lake. And if a fish comes, then the stork catches it. Now the stork is standing there, it's doing this kakasnan baka dhyan. It's meditating very, very intently. It's not moving around. So he says we should finish the bath like a crow, and then concentrate your mind like the stork on the lotus feet of Krishna. The 3rd symptom of a brahmachari is swana nidra. You should sleep like a dog. Swana means like a dog. When the dog is sleeping, even a slight touch of sound is there, then the dog wakes up. Oh, what is it? He's sleeping. The dog sleeps all day long, but the dog wakes up very, very quickly. And so similarly, the brahmachari, person living in the ashram of the Guru, should do swana nidra, should sleep like a dog, very lightly. And then alpa bhojana. Alpa means very little, and bhojana means to eat. Eat just a little food. Just maybe eat a few raisins. Soak them in some water or something. And have some isabgol to fill yourself up with it. Keep it simple. Guru Maharaj said, don't eat all the way up to your nose. Keep your body light, and then you can chant and dance and you can do service for Guru. And then the 5th symptom of the brahmachari is videsha gamana. You should stay in a foreign place, and that means the Guru's ashram. A brahmachari doesn't stay at home and have the mother wash her clothes and iron things and take care of him. That's not brahmachari. So these are Vidyarthi Pancha Lakshana. Vidyarthi Pancha Lakshana. 5 considerations for a brahmachari. And these things, Guru Maharaj spoke, these are things that even materialistic people or non-devotees, they advise to the students when they go to school. So these are also the symptoms of Krishna and Balaram. And Krishna, he told Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, Uddhava was asking about brahmachari life, and Krishna told him, Sayam pratar upaniya bhaiksham tasmai nivadiyat yachchanyad apyanugyatam upayunjita samyata. That this is a brahmachari. In the morning and in the evening they should go and they should beg. Guru Maharaj himself, after he'd taken sannyas, he was staying in Bhubaneswar, and every day he was going out and doing madhukari. And whatever he would collect, that's what he would offer to the deities there. They would collect some grains and rice and wheat and whatever, and that's what they would cook. And he would just go out for a certain set amount of time, and if somehow he had service to do or something and he wasn't able to go out, then he would fast that day. It was very, very strict. And he did that for many years until the devotees started begging him, please, don't do like that. So every morning and evening, one should go out and collect some foodstuffs and maybe other articles and things, and then you give them to the guru. And then, being very self-controlled, you only accept for yourself whatever you give from the guru. And therefore it's said in Shastra also that before the brahmachari eats, he should take permission from the guru. It's said again in the Bhagavatam, Shushushamana acharyam sandopasita nichavat yana sayanasana stanayar nati dure kritanjali. While someone's engaged in serving a guru, they should be a humble servant. They shouldn't dress in very opulent clothes to try to impress the guru. They should eat simply, and they should just be a humble slave of the guru. And so when the guru is walking, that devotee should walk behind the guru, not walking next to Gurudev like, yeah, Gurudev, I'm your equal. When the guru lays down to sleep, then the servant lies down next to him. And when the guru wakes up, then the servant should sit near him and massage his feet and do a similar service. I had a very good fortune with my Guru Maharaj when we were traveling together. For a month and a half, I was a servant in Europe in 1994. And Guru Maharaj would sleep in the bed, and sometimes I would sleep on the floor. Sometimes I would sleep under the bed. And when Guru Maharaj would wake up in the morning, I would jump up before him and run into the bathroom and put some toothpaste on his toothbrush and get everything ready for him as my service for him. And then he would go into the bathroom. He would spend a long time in the bathroom. He had some difficulties with his body. And when he would come out of the bathroom, his feet would be wet still. And I would be waiting. Actually, to tell the truth, I would be sitting up against the door sleeping because I was so tired, because he was only sleeping about 3 hours a night. And I was also only sleeping the same amount. And so when he would push the door, then I would wake up and jump up like a dog. And then he would come out and have his towel, and I would take his feet in my hands and dry off his feet. That was a very, very happy time for me. So there are two types of service: is paricharya rupa seva and prasanga rupa seva. Prasanga rupa means that we hear from the guru, and when the guru speaks something, then shushushama, we want to hear attentively. But shushushama has two different meanings. It means to hear, and it also means to serve. So that hearing is a service of the ear. And we're not hearing, Guru Maharaj said many times, for our own personal enjoyment, but we should hear for the pleasure of Guru. And Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha says this is Prasanga Rupa Seva. It's two types of service that we do to Guru. Prasanga Rupa Seva and Paricharya Rupa Seva. Paricharya Rupa Seva means you render service to the Guru's body. And you cook for him, you make his bath, you give massage to Gurudev, you wash his cloth, you do different things. And Hanuman is the ideal servant, the ideal example of this. He's the ideal example of Dasya Bhakti, who's serving. He's always there, Kritanjali, with folded hands at the doorstep of Lord Ramachandra, just waiting for the order. The Bhagavatam, again, same chapter, 17th chapter, the 11th canto, Krishna tells Uddhava, Evam Brita Guru Kule Vasad Bhoga Vivajita Vidya Samapyate Vyavad Bidbrad Bratam Akanditam. That until he's completed his education, that brahmachari should stay in the ashram of the guru and should be completely free from material sense gratification and not break his vow of celibacy. because that's required. Otherwise, you're going to be half-cooked. This is a Vedic tradition. And Srila Prabhupada wanted this. He wanted us to have established gurukulas where the young students would stay for that time. And they could fix their minds, because once someone gets married, they enter into grihastha ashram and they start a job and things, then it's very, very difficult to serve in that way. So Sandapani Muni, he was seeing these boys and he's saying, I can't. And he was telling his wife later, he was speaking to his wife. That's the nature of the husband and wife. They get together every day and they say, this person told me this and this happened this, and there's a little bit of kind of gossiping like that. And Sandapani Muni told his wife, he said, just when I look at these boys, I feel all this affection, this snigdha, and I feel so much affection for them. I feel like I think that since they were born, they must have been living on butter and other really soft things, because they're just so sweet. Internally and externally, they're just oozing with affection. Indirectly, Sandapani Muni doesn't know, but he's glorifying Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And he says, although the white one and the black one are both filled with affection, my intelligence concludes that the white one is the root. Balaram. He's the root of things. Because Balaram is Adi Guru. And Balaram is Dauji. He's the elder brother of Krishna. So he's saying like that. And he's saying that I see all the marks. Shastra speaks about different symptoms of a great personality. And these white one and black one, as they call themselves, they're worthy of worship. And in the effulgence of this white one bewilders my intelligence. Why is that? Jiva Goswami says, why is Sandapani Muni speaking like that? Because Sandapani Muni is a worshiper of Shiva. And who is the Isha Dev of Shiva? It's Balaram. Indirectly, Jiva Goswami and Gopal Champu says many, many things indirectly, in a very, very sweet way. So we're going to stop there today. This is something about the brahmachari life of Krishna and Balaram. And we'll continue this discussion in our next session, which should be on Wednesday. We're actually discussing about maybe cutting back some of our classes after Kartik. So I'll inform everybody, stay tuned to know. I'm not sure we'll have a Wednesday class, but we'll definitely, in our next class, which if it's not on Wednesday, it'll be on Friday, we'll discuss this more. So I want to thank Natalia and Naveen and Mahendra Prabhu for taking part in this today. Aditi's here today. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you in Krishna Priya. And Sadhu Marg Prabhu. So if anybody has any reflections or comments online, and nobody has it this time yet, Sadhu Marg has a little something. This is a time to write that in. It's very nice. I appreciate knowing that devotees didn't just tune in so they could go to sleep. And Sadhu Marg Prabhu says, Krishna nitya-brahmacari Durvasa nirahari kakasnan bhakajyan swananidra alpa bhojana bidesha gamana. Thank you very much for a wonderful Krishna katha, so enlivening and purifying. I'm just repeating something. This doesn't belong to me. Guru Maharaj once told me, he said that if someone asks you to speak, you must. You have no other choice. He said, but when you speak, you just repeat what you've heard from your guru and the previous acharyas. And then he jammed his finger in my chest and he said, don't think it belongs to you. So this doesn't belong to me. This belongs to my Guru Maharaj and to Jiva Goswami and the devotees. But I'm just doing this as a service, and I want to thank everybody very much for facilitating that so I can do some service for Srila Prabhupada's movement and devotees. So if there's any other reflections, nobody's giving. Anybody here in the room have any reflection? Yeah? Yeah?
Thank you so much for this wonderful katha. Yesterday when you told that we're not going to speak about Krishna and Balaram's brahmacharya and why he took, he accepted his spiritual master, not the Vaishnava. And it's interesting to know that if he could accept as Vaishnava, it's not possible, because they were saying that, oh, this is a god, how I can teach him and things like this. It's an interesting fact. And another interesting thing about Yashoda, that wherever Krishna is going, Yashoda is following him. With her affection is following him as a cloud. It's really beautiful. And another thing that Krishna and Balarama's teacher, his name, oh my god,
Sandipani.
Sandipani Muni, yes. He was so how to say that, not inspired, but touched by Krishna's and Balarama's appearance. Everything in them was enlightening for him. And this is interesting that you told it's actually when he spoke about Krishna and Balarama, he actually glorified Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. This is so beautiful. Thank you.
Just like in the mundane story we told from the news about this person who the cloud was following him and the cloud was hitting him with lightning. So Krishna was being followed by the Yashoda cloud, and sometimes that cloud's hitting him with lightning in the form of Krishna remembering his mother's love and him becoming stunned. Jiva Goswami speaks something like that. Anybody else here in the room have any reflection? Now we get to hear something from Krishna Kundevi Das.
Just a quick one for me. I really like these stories about Krishna is an eternal brahmachari and Durvasa Muni never eats. But I don't think I ever really understood the purport, even from Gurudev, until you paraphrase it in this way. So thank you very much for clarifying that how Durvasa Muni as a spirit soul is not eating, never eats, and because Krishna's attachment to the gopis is completely spiritual, is completely free from lust. So therefore he is a brahmachari, because his reciprocation with the gopis is not on the mundane platform. So he's a brahmachari, his behavior is in the Brahman, it's on the spiritual platform. Thank you for that. And also for me, prasanga rupa seva, that was the most important expression of the class. Thank you very much. How hearing from Gurudev is for his pleasure, and it's the service that he actually appreciates the most. And it reminded me of how Sri Raja Maharaj once said to a disciple who asked him, what would really please you the most? What can I do for you? And he said, please give me your ears.
Yes. That's the service that we render to Guru. We should hear nicely. So I want to thank everybody so much for helping me to do this service for Srila Prabhupada. There's so many problems in the world today, and we're confused. It's a very confusing time. We don't know what to do. But one thing for me is very, very clear. We should always hear Srimad Bhagavatam in association with the devotees. And then any problems, any shoka, moha, bhaya, fear, lamentation, and illusion, they'll all go away by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the devotees who are tuning in, and you're helping me to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because I'm not actually speaking, but I'm hearing. Guru Maharaj said that after the disciple hears, then the Guru tells him, now you speak. And what is that kirtan of the disciple? What is the speaking of the disciple? He said that's another word for shravan, for hearing. So by you coming and hearing from us, taking part in this every day, you're giving me an opportunity to hear, which is very, very important for me. So thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki jai, Gopremanandi Hari Hari Bo, Vancha Kalpadarubhishcha Kripa